All right, welcome back to another episode of the Opinionated Right Back. While I am the Opinionated Right Back, we are the two of us. I mean, that's how it's been forever. And my name is Harsh,
I'm
and
Palash.
we are joined by Palash, of course. आज summer transfer window का deadline है, and as we record this video, we are just about 1 hour and 50 minutes away from the deadline. That means a lot's going to happen. Club World Cup की वजह से थोड़ा सा सीन गड़बड़ है इस बार. So for all the football fans, I know changes are in plenty. We have seen the UEFA Champions League format changed for the first time last season. Uh, that came with its own weird translations and weird things that happened after. Right, I'm a Liverpool fan. मुझसे ज़्यादा कौन जानता है? We finished the group stage on the top of that list. Of course, to be beaten by the eventual champions, which is the only silver lining in all of this. आप अगर जो टीम अल्टीमेटली जीते हो उससे हारते हो तो उतना दुख नहीं होता है ना हमने भी इतने टूर्नामेंट्स
First,
है ना.
first.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye out throughout the podcast on the transfers that are happening in real time. We'll keep an eye out on Fabrizio Romano. Congratulations, by the way, reaching 100 million followers across his channels today. We'll also talk about what lies ahead in the Premier League, not just for Liverpool, not just for Arsenal, but for Manchester United, for Tottenham, who have sacked Ange in spite of getting them qualifying for Europe and for the Champions League rather, and winning the Europa League. We will discuss many more topics which have evolved over the past 15-20 days. Cristiano Ronaldo won the UEFA Nations League 2 days ago. Lamine Yamal and all his Ballon d'Or tactics and everything that he said and everything that went viral on social media over the past 1 week sort of came to a standstill when he met that immovable force. And मतलब यार हद हो गई रोनाल्डो की भी है ना. 40 साल का यार वो आदमी.
I mean, as a neutral, I mean, I of course love him, but any neutral would appreciate what he's doing. 40 साल में भी भाई मतलब उसने नेशंस लीग में भी 8 गोल 9 मैचेस में मारे.
मतलब हद हो गई यार बिल्कुल
हद हो गई.
मजाक चल रहा है क्या यार. है ना. एंड देर इज दिस आर्ग्यूमेंट बिकॉज सी यमाल तो यार बच्चा है अभी तो आया है यार. उसको बेचारे को क्या ही मतलब क्या ही उसने किया है. ऐसा नहीं है. ही इज एन एक्सेप्शनल टैलेंट. आई नो वी बोथ एग्री ऑन दिस.
Yeah.
एंड मेसी एंड रोनाल्डो वाली अम्ब्रेला के बाद अगर अब कोई है. एम्बापे से उम्मीद थी कि he'll take that mantle forward. But Mbappe was also killing it at 18, 19. He had already won a World Cup at that age. I
Yeah.
don't think Yamal has, right? Spain hasn't won the World Cup. No.
Yeah.
So, and then here we are with Mbappe and पिछले साल तो बहुत ही ज्यादा हद हो गई. काफी मजाक उड़ाया गया है. So, just for the longevity of it, and मैं जानता हूँ हम दोनों millennials हैं और अब Gen Z, Yamal and all of that. बट जो रोनाल्डो और मेसी ने अचीव किया है इस गेम में वो अचीव करना पड़ेगा पहले. उसके बाद वो बातें की जाएं तो ज्यादा बेटर है.
Correct.
आई रियली अप्रिशिएट द टैलेंट. टैलेंट है.
First.
या बट टैलेंट तो पार्टों में भी था.
बिल्कुल.
टैलेंट तो और भी बहुत प्लेयर्स में था. इनफैक्ट बारसा से ही कितने लोग निकले हैं जिनके अंदर उतना टैलेंट था.
आई
बोयान
थिंक
फॉर एग्जाम्पल.
सोशल मीडिया की वजह से हाइप भी बहुत जल्दी मिल गया है ना छोटी सी उम्र
या
में.
एब्सोल्युटली.
तो अब बहुत कम प्लेयर्स ऐसे होंगे जो उस हाइप को मतलब कंट्रोल करते हुए फिर वो अपना सस्टेनेबली ग्रो भी करें एंड देन कीप ऑन दैट ग्रोथ कर्व एंड देन शो द सेम लेवल ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस व्हिच इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. आई थिंक एम्बापे कुडंट हैंडल दैट पार्ट बिकॉज ही शोड वेरी गुड टैलेंट एंड प्रॉमिस एंड एवरीथिंग बट आई थिंक जो ग्रोथ ट्रैजेक्टरी थी वो इवेंचुअली नीचे आ गई फॉर डिफरेंट रीजंस ऑफ कोर्स. पीएसजी ने एकदम घर की चाबी दे दी, शहर की चाबी दे दी. मतलब प्राइम मिनिस्टर के साथ उठते बैठते हैं एकदम. मतलब वो उसका ईगो तो कहाँ है भाई, वो तो अलग ही बात है. खैर.
राइट.
बट अगेन
यमाल तो भी वहां पे
लमी
नहीं पहुंचा है टू बी
लमी
ऑनेस्ट.
अभी यहाँ वहां तक नहीं पहुंचा है बट स्टिल एनीथिंग कैन हैपन. अभी वो 17 साल का है यार. वो मतलब 17 साल का है.
या
वो अगले 10 साल बाद भी मतलब 27 का ही होगा मतलब.
करेक्ट. उसके बाद भी उसके 10 बच रहे
उस
होंगे.
तो उसका तो प्राइम अभी लोग कह रहे हैं कि प्राइम में खेल रहा है. वो तो मतलब कहाँ जाने वाला है नोबडी नोज.
Yeah, it's scary. He's scary
कह
good.
रही है
That's
कोर्स.
insane talent. Insane talent. And so agreed, but So UEFA Nations League semi-final tak, until that game between Spain and Germany, was it?
Spain and France.
Portugal and Germany, and Spain and France, right? So क्योंकि डायरेक्ट कंपैरिजन उस्मान डेम्बेले से चल रहा था इस सीजन फॉर द बैलन डी और एंड एवरीथिंग एंड डेम्बेले डिडंट रियली प्ले वेल इन दैट गेम फॉर मल्टीपल रीजंस. ठीक है, वन फुटबॉल मैच इन आइसोलेशन इज वन फुटबॉल मैच इन आइसोलेशन. एंड I think the same goes for Inter and Barcelona also in the Champions League. That was, I mean, two games in isolation, actually, which does not substantiate my argument per se. But जिस तरीके से इंटर बिखर गई फाइनल में, again उसके बहुत सारे अलग reasons हैं. Inter as a club has fallen apart completely because of multiple reasons. We have seen reports coming out of the club over the last 10-15 days, corruption, scandals, and all
Mafia
sorts of
connection.
things. Yeah. इटली में ये सब होता है तो इट ब्रेक्स माय हार्ट, बट इटली में ये सब होता ही रहता है. एंड एक और रीजन है, इटली में ये सब चीजें होती हैं, जल्दी पता चल जाता है, पनिशमेंट्स मिलती हैं, सैंक्शंस लगते हैं, मैनेजर्स चेंज होते हैं, प्लेयर्स चेंज होते हैं, फाइनल्स हारे जाते हैं. इधर 115 चार्जेस का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व ही नहीं हो रहा है. राइट, सो इन अ वे इटालियन फुटबॉल इज
उसके बाद उन्होंने 150 और खर्च कर लिया है.
150, 280 दिस सीजन ऑलरेडी.
हाँ, जनवरी एंड समर मिला के
Yeah. Plus Turkey now.
Hmm.
So anyway, we'll get to Ryan Cherky also. There is a big debate growing on social media these days. Wirtz better hai, Cherky better hai. People are so stupid. Anyway, we'll get to that a little later. But yeah, coming back to Yamal. So insane talent, yes, we both agree. Thoda gangster approach. So we have seen that Messi and Ronaldo rivalry for the last 20 years. Millennials hain, we come from that generation. Yes, we love football and we'll continue to follow it till the day we die. But वो एक बहुत ही respectful relationship था between two characters. There's this one guy who has all this pride, hard work, ego, and then there's this man who's just touched by God, right? Messi और रोनाल्डो डिबेट चलता रहा, बट दैट वाज ऑल क्रेडिट टू रोनाल्डो बिकॉज ही मेड दैट पॉसिबल. अदरवाइज मेसी के साथ किसी का कंपैरिजन होना नहीं चाहिए था. बट वी हैव सीन दैट हैपनिंग. नदाल, फेडरर. So Federer is Messi and Nadal is Ronaldo. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of running. It's grit, pure grit. Yamal sort of comes as a combination of both, right? Talent भी है, gift भी है, पर arrogance भी है. Good arrogance, if I may. तो वो गैंगस्टर अप्रोच ठीक था उसका. और उस्मान डेम्बेले का सेमीफाइनल वाज समथिंग दैट एवरीबॉडी वाज लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू, एंड इवन यमाल केम आउट एंड सेड इट. ठीक है, अगर एक मैच से डिसाइड होता है, सिर्फ चैंपियंस लीग जीत के डिसाइड होता है, तो मैं दिखाएगा इस मैच में. वहां तक भी सब कुछ ठीक था एंड पीपल थॉट ही हैड वन दैट, एंड देन क्रिस्टियानो रोनाल्डो हैपेंड. फुटबॉल इज बैक, सो बैक. इतनी खुशी हुई मुझे. एंड I'm sure it's a humbling experience for Yamal. But I think सारा credit Ronaldo को नहीं दे सकते. The entire Portugal team showed real character. They were behind twice. Real character. And especially Nuno Mendes, which brings us to our first point of discussion today. A lot of social media noise again going on around Nuno Mendes. Is he the best left back in the world?
I think so, yes, currently, because उसके अलावा ऐसा कोई दिख नहीं रहा है that can play to his levels, especially Champions League final, Nations League final. So I'm talking about big stage, the finals of everything, right? Of course, there are potentially good players, but I think for Nuno Mendes also there is a lot to prove. अभी तो सिर्फ एक ही सीजन हुआ है जिसमें उसने बहुत ही अच्छा खेला है. मतलब काफी बड़े बड़े अटैकर्स के सामने, फॉर एग्जांपल सलाह एंड यामाल, सबको संभाल के एकदम पॉकेट में रखा है एकदम. साका आल्सो ऑफ कोर्स. मैं तो उनको गिन ही नहीं रहा हूँ वहां तक.
हम चाहे ना चाहे हम आर्सेनल की जरूर ले लेते हैं.
नो ऑफेंस टू आर्सेनल, बट हाँ उनके उसके लेवल की वो परफॉर्मेंस थी भी नहीं. बट साला प्लेड सो वेल. लमीन यमाल आफ्टर स्कोरिंग दैट अमेजिंग few goals against France and coming on to the final. So this season has been, of course, absolutely amazing for Nuno Mendes. But I am one of those people. I would still give him. I would like to see 3-4 years of this consistency that I'll say is the best left back in the world.
Okay,
So
is that a
yes,
fair argument
currently
to say
yes.
that he's the
In
best
this
left back
season,
in?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. And
What do you think?
I तो definitely agree. मैंने PSG को बहुत closely observe किया है सीजन, so the club that he plays for. उस मैच में मुझे लग रहा था कि साला खराब खेल रहा है when PSG and Liverpool met in the knockout stage. And I don't know if you remember, first leg में we were thoroughly outplayed. Nobody has any idea how Liverpool won 1-0 that game. Alisson, of course, is the answer. In the second leg, we should have scored 2 goals in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And of course, उस दिन Donnarumma made some exceptional saves, but there was this block in the first 5 minutes that Nuno Mendes made. And then बाकी पूरे मैच में कोई लगता रहा कि साला बार बार बॉल ले रहा है, बार बार 1-on-1 हो रहा है इस लेफ्ट बैक के साथ, बार बार उसको काटने की कोशिश कर रहा है. And Salah is playing bad, but that was not the case. Nuno Mendes completely dominated him. At least Liverpool के साथ it was still a much closer fight, and eventually वो match penalties में गया वगैरह वगैरह, whatever happened. जो मैंने नेशंस लीग फाइनल में देखा, ऐसा नहीं हुआ सिर्फ कि उसने यमाल को कैंसिल आउट कर दिया. ऑफ कोर्स नुनो मेंडेस डिड अ ग्रेट जॉब डिफेंडिंग अगेंस्ट यमाल. ब्रो वो उसको काट काट के आगे जा रहा था.
उसने तो मैंने तो यमाल को एक्चुअली टेक ऑन करते हुए देखा. नुनो मेंडेस को उसने कॉन्फिडेंस खत्म कर दिया था उसका.
खत्म
I
बिल्कुल.
didn't see Lamine Yamal for the first time not taking on a defender.
Yeah, he
वो
tried in
एकदम
the
सेफ
beginning.
खेल रहा था.
वो बार बार बॉल जीत के जा रहा था उससे. And towards the end of the game, what was happening was when Portugal really needed that second goal, especially, what was happening was Yamal को defense करना आता नहीं है. Nuno Mendes was taking on Yamin Yamal, getting out, going on the outside, going on the inside. Yamal को कुछ हवा नहीं आ रही. He's looking back behind and looking for his right back. उसको भी कुछ हवा नहीं आ रही. And crosses coming inside from the left. So crazy man. I think not just as a left back, even as a proper winger, he outplayed Lamine Yamal and the Spanish right back that day. Like I said, of course, my heart fills with joy for what Ronaldo got out of it. He ended up recreating that trophy picture also. And हम दोनों को पता है रोनाल्डो कितना. So even in the former debate, Messi Ronaldo wala, I know who's touched by God and I know who's the better player. The whole world knows it. We have always known it. But then, because of the attitude and grit that people show, sometimes you take a side. So I was always on the Ronaldo side of it because it's more human. It feels more closer to my heart. So, as much as I hate the fact that he played for United and right, fuck United, but Ronaldo as an individual, as a professional, thank God he went to Real. I could really show my love to him. So, really happy for him. Great culmination to the UEFA Nations League. But of course, इसके ऊपर भी एक perspective है. Thomas Muller का quote पढ़ा तूने? So Thomas Muller said this a couple of years ago actually. He said there are only 2 teams in Europe who take the UEFA Nations League seriously. For all the rest of us, it's just glorified friendlies. It's Portugal and Holland.
Portugal and
Holland.
अच्छा.
And Netherlands. Right? So obviously that's a shot at that's a shot at 2 teams that have never won the World Cup. I mean, there have been close shaves. When I say never, I mean in the last 40 years at least. So Portugal, though I don't think have reached a final. Holland have reached a final in my lifetime, but again, they've not really gotten the job done. So वो भी है. Do we think UEFA Nations League is a very good tournament? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so.
वर्ल्ड कप होता है, यूरो होता है, ये क्या है? मतलब आई नो इट्स बीन गोइंग ऑन फॉर अ फ्यू इयर्स नाउ,
And
बट
ये एकदम सीजन के एकदम बाद कब से होने लगा? I think this is happening for the first time.
क्लब वर्ल्ड कप को अकोमोडेट करने के लिए ना वो सब बदतमीजी हो रही है. और क्लब वर्ल्ड कप भी दिया.
Looking at the schedule for overall footballers across the season, it's insane. मतलब क्या पूरा 8-10 महीना लीग खेलो, बीच बीच में अपने फ्रेंडलीज खेलो, फिर क्वालिफाइड्स खेलो, नेशंस लीग चल रहा है, फिर क्लब वर्ल्ड कप भी आ गया.
यूरोपियन क्वालिफायर्स भी चल रहे हैं साथ साथ.
हाँ, और चैंपियंस लीग का इन्होंने वो स्केड्यूल भी बढ़ा दिया है. 48 टीम्स खेल लिए. मतलब क्या चल रहा है?
सीरियसली मतलब है ना इतना. सो Pep or all the other managers, they're not wrong. This is just plain crazy. It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a business. yes, it's one of the biggest businesses in the world after a point, but फुटबॉल से दिल निकाल दोगे तो कब तक निकालते रहोगे, है ना?
हाँ, वो धीरे धीरे ह्यूमन टच जा रहा है। अब वो
हाँ,
वीएआर फॉर एग्जांपल इज वन एग्जांपल।
यार,
सेकंड इज तुम फुटबॉल का स्केड्यूल इतना बढ़ा रहे हो और फिर पीएसआर के थ्रू तुम उनका बजट कम कर रहे हो,
करेक्ट।
मतलब वो अपना स्क्वाड भी नहीं बढ़ा सकते।
हाँ, उसके बाद देर इज अ स्टेट बैक्ड कॉर्पोरेशन इन मैनचेस्टर सिटी जिसका कोई कुछ उखाड़ नहीं पा रहा है। अरे प्रीमियर लीग अगर वो केस हार भी गई है तो हमें बता तो दो यार। एटलीस्ट टेल अस कि नहीं, प्रीमियर लीग हार गई, सिटी जीत गई, आग
हाँ,
बंद करके पैसा खर्च करेंगे, अभी कोई कुछ नहीं उखाड़ पाए।
एक्चुअली यू आर राइट, आई थिंक वो हार जाएंगे तो बताएंगे नहीं।
नहीं,
यू
अब तो मुझे ये लग रहा है कि वो हार चुके हैं, 1-2 महीने से लग रहा है मेरे को।
हाँ,
ऐसा, हाँ।
आई थिंक वो कोई बहुत ही डिप्लोमेटिक सा स्टेटमेंट रिलीज करेंगे जिससे ये भी पता चल जाए कि सिटी जीत गई है, लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम पीएसआर इज स्टिल वैलिड।
हाँ, पीएसआर इज ओनली वैलिड फॉर एवर्टन, नॉटिंघम फॉरेस्ट, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, है ना? सिर्फ एक क्लब है जिसका मुझे कोई डाउट नहीं है कि, एक्चुअली एक नहीं, कई सारे क्लब्स हैं, छोटे क्लब्स का तो क्या ही कंपैरिजन करें, बट ब्राइटन फॉर एग्जांपल, राइट? अगर वो आज 500 मिलियन खर्च कर दे एक विंडो में, तो जस्ट वन क्लब और अ फ्यू क्लब्स इन द लीग, फॉर एग्जांपल लिवरपूल, एकदम से मुझे लग रहा है इस विंडो में 200 तो खर्च होने वाला है, so obviously we'll also end up selling some players by the end of it. बट ब्राइटन ब्रो, वो 500 मिलियन भी खर्च कर देंगे एक विंडो में ना, तो मेरे को पता है कि उनका फेयर है। क्योंकि वो 10 का लाके 100 का बेच रहे हैं, कई साल हो गए। आज
हम्म।
ब्राइटन ने एक और प्लेयर खरीदा है 10 मिलियन का, पता नहीं कहां से उठा के लाए। वो पोस्ट देखते ही मेरे को ये लगा कि ये अगले साल 100 का जाएगा। या अगले से अगले साल 100 का जाएगा। वो तो वो बलीबा वगैरह को बेचने में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, वरना बलीबा के भी अभी 100 ले लेगा कोई,
हम्म।
है ना? सो apart from that, I think Nottingham Forest, Everton, they've suffered because of PSR, points deductions and whatnot. Everton were lucky to not get relegated a couple of times, especially last season जब वो points deduction हुआ. Nottingham Forest, same thing last season.
हम्म।
They finished 17th if I'm not wrong. So सिर्फ छोटे क्लब्स के ऊपर ये सारे प्रेशर्स, रेगुलरिटीज, रेगुलेशंस, सॉरी, रूल्स, लॉज, और सिटी का कोई कुछ नहीं उखाड़ पा रहे हैं। राइंडेस भी आ गया, चर्की भी आ गया, और भी आ गए एक दो इसी विंडो
एक
में।
नूरी आ गया भाई वुल्फ से।
न्यूरी आ गया वुल्फ से, राइट? सो एटलीस्ट ये तो बता दो कि हुआ क्या है। मान लिया आपने, है ना, ये तो हो ही रहा है पूरी दुनिया में कहीं ना कहीं। देर आर ऑलवेज वन और टू कॉर्पोरेशन जिनको फेवर किया जाता है फॉर वट एवर रीजन, है ना? मैं ये तो बिल्कुल नहीं बोल रहा कि उसका हमें ये बताओ कि क्यों, कैसे बुली कर दिया सिटी ने आपको, या एतिहाद ग्रुप ने प्रीमियर लीग को कैसे बुली कर रखा है। ठीक है, आपके पास 10 लॉयर थे, उनके पास 115 लॉयर्स हैं, आई डोंट केयर अबाउट ऑल ऑफ दैट,
हम्म।
बट यार हमें कुछ जजमेंट तो दे दो, कुछ तो बता
हम्म।
दो आम आदमी को।
या
उनको
तो
अभी भी कोई रोक नहीं
ये
पा
तब
रहा।
तक लड़ेंगे जब तक ये जीत नहीं जाते हैं, मतलब ये चलता ही रहेगा या तो।
ब्रो, इतने ऑब्वियस चार्जेस हैं, और एक दो चार्जेस नहीं है, 115 चार्जेस प्लस 6। सो अगर इनको जीतना होता तो ये अब तक जीत गए होते अपने देश में, है
हाँ,
ना?
ऑफ कोर्स।
इनकी तो घर की बात है, अपने देश में नहीं हो पा रहा इनसे तो। एंड a similar argument also came, also resurfaced. Okay, so there are two sides to the story. One is we all loved watching PSG this season, right? We did.
या
They're an exceptional team. I'm so happy for Luis Enrique. I'm so happy for some of the talents that have emerged. Nuno Mendes, Desire Doué, Ousmane Dembele, Rebirth, वगैरह वगैरह. But PSG का मॉडल भी सेम है.
हम्म।
There's a reason why other small clubs in France, एक्चुअली वहां तो पीएसजी के अलावा सभी कुछ स्मॉल हो गया ना। ओलंपिक लियोन भी compete नहीं कर पा रहा, बोर्डो वोर्डो तो पता नहीं है भी कि नहीं लीग में अब, जिनको हम देखते हुए बड़े हुए हैं। मार्से, वो पीएसजी से compete ही नहीं कर सकते यार, है ना? पीएसजी was done with the league 3 months before the end of the season.
और
So
पीएसजी पता है तुम्हें एस्टेब्लिश कब हुआ है? पीएसजी गॉट एस्टैब्लिश इन
1970,
1970।
या
बताओ।
बताओ,
वो 1890s के क्लब्स हैं सारे।
हाँ, बताइए। पीएसजी ने 1970 में एस्टैब्लिश होकर चैंपियंस लीग जीत लिया, आर्सेनल 1886 से नहीं जीत पा रहा है। मुझे पता है तुम्हें
घुमा
क्यों
फिरा
जाना
के
है।
आर्सेनल पे तो आना ही है।
आना ही है, आर्सेनल की बात नहीं करेंगे क्या? चलो आर्सेनल पे आएंगे तो आर्सेनल की बात करते हैं। Exciting news coming in from the Arsenal camp. Yesterday I shared a video or a reel on our page that Zubimendi is practically doing the same thing to Arsenal that he did to Liverpool last season. Zubi dooby doo, where are you? क्योंकि रियाल का लिंक आ गया था, रियाल sort of came in between and they wanted to sign him, blah 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 blah. But news coming in today that the signing would be finalized sooner rather than later. Abhi bhi, of course, we are keeping an eye on the deadline. Right now, it's just about 90 minutes to go. Did you watch the Spain Portugal final?
Yeah,
Yeah. How highly do you rate Zubimendi, man?
I think he's a decent player. I don't rate him that highly.
Is he
I mean, I
Sergio Busquets though?
nowhere near Busquets or Rodri, if that's what you're asking.
That is what I'm asking.
No, not at all. At least as much as I've seen him, I saw the full game in the final. I've seen a little bit of Real Sociedad. Uh, so, I mean, he's a good player, but I don't think he's a world class player. And even if he comes to Arsenal, I don't think the impact would be as much as Rodri or even a Declan Rice for that matter. I
Rice
think
is a
he's a
proper player. Yeah.
yeah. I think he's a decent player, but I don't rate him that highly.
Hmm. So anyway, decent
But I
player.
think he fits the Arsenal team more because I think they're looking for someone like a Jorginho who can control their possession game from the midfield. Because right now, I think they're more dependent on what's that number 10's name, their captain.
Odegaard.
Odegaard. They're more dependent on Odegaard for the playmaking part, also for the creativity part, also. So I think they're looking for someone who can play deep in the midfield and start pulling the strings. For that, I think Zubimendi fits well. He can do that. I think for Spain also he was doing that. But yes, to answer your question, I don't think he's on the levels of Rodri or players like that.
Hmm. So हमें मतलब उससे कोई डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. Is that what you're saying?
हाँ करेक्ट वो बेसिकली आई थिंक वो पार्टी का एक वो लेके आ रहे हैं सब्स्टिट्यूट बिकॉज आई थिंक ही इज इनटू हिज 30s नाउ एंड ही हैज इंजरी
Yeah.
इश्यूज and they need a partner for Declan Rice who can control possession based football. So I think yeah, goodbye for them if they are able to make it. But I think I have a feeling he's going to Real Madrid no matter what any news report says because he clearly idolizes Xabi Alonso, and I think he's going to make Arsenal wait till the last moment if Real Madrid will come in for him or not. If they don't, of course he'll come to Arsenal. But I think I have a gut feeling Madrid will come in for him.
They have, but I don't think they can afford him right now. He's 60 million plus pounds, and Arsenal have an agreement with the player. Arsenal have an agreement with the club. कुछ माइनर डिटेल्स हैं, कुछ फाइनेंशियल चीजें हैं जिसकी वजह से वो जुलाई में ही उसका मेडिकल रखना चाहते थे. बट या वंस रियल गेट इन्वॉल्व दे गेट इन्वॉल्व, चाहे थोड़ा सा ही इन्वॉल्वमेंट हो. एंड फॉर अ स्पेनिश नेशनल नॉट टू से नो टू रियल में ट्रेंड से नहीं हो पा रहा, जुबीमेंडी से कैसे हो पाएगा? प्लस वो कर चुका है ये पिछले साल. So
Yeah.
Arsenal fans, जब तक वो नहीं आ रहा है, I'll keep asking this. Zooby dooby doo, where are you? In other news, Chelsea have already signed Delap, Gittins, and Mania. I mean, they're linked with Manian. आज ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो goalkeeper वाला deal is not going to work out. Liverpool have already signed Frimpong. They are very heavily linked with Kerekes. Wirtz का saga तो सभी को पता है. Liverpool have increased their bid 3 times in the last 1 week, including today, and we are hoping for a conclusion within the next 90 minutes. Actually, United have already signed Cunha. They're very heavily linked with Mbuemo. We'll see how that works out. City have already signed Reinders, they've signed Cherky, they've signed Nuri today. Arsenal, Zooby Dooby Doo. Where are कौन आएगा, कब आएगा, कुछ खबर नहीं आ रही है. Arsenal are linked with all the strikers in Europe except for Isak. Isak के बारे में कोई लिंक नहीं आ रहा है वैसे, by the way, we'll get to that in a minute. But Arsenal have signed nobody yet.
And
No.
I was hoping something different from Arsenal because I think they have brought in Berta from Atletico Madrid. I was thinking that as a new appointment, he would like to stamp his authority and get in some early signings and get everyone on the road. So that hasn't happened, and
न्यू स्पोर्टिंग
especially
डायरेक्टर सेम ओल्ड स्टोरी ऐसा चल रहा
sorry.
है न्यू स्पोर्टिंग डायरेक्टर बट सेम ओल्ड स्टोरी मतलब नथिंग इज हैपनिंग राइट एडी
Huh?
लेट them down
And before any midfielder, I thought they'll first go with a striker signing. That is
मतलब
what
दो
they've been
साल से सिर्फ यही हल्ला हो रहा है ना कि स्ट्राइकर चाहिए
lacking.
तो विंडो खुलते ही सबसे पहले
और उनका
स्ट्राइकर के पीछे
ट्रांसफर
बढ़ना है
सागा तो मिडफील्डर के लिए चल रहा है मतलब. I don't know. I mean, they are in for Victor Gyökeres from Sporting. United are also in for him. और Victor Gyökeres, I think जितना मैंने पढ़ा, he is waiting for Amorim to come in. So वहां भी धोखा मिल सकता है उसको.
हाँ
एक
यार
ऑसमन है जो सऊदी रिजेक्ट
ओसिमन
कर दिया है इसने.
वो तो सऊदी चला गया हाँ
नहीं, रिजेक्ट कर दिया उसने.
क्या बात कर रहे हैं ब्रो कल तो
हाँ,
कंफर्म न्यूज आया था कि
नहीं नहीं, सऊदी रिजेक्ट कर दिया है उसने.
अच्छा
एटलीस्ट जो करंट उसको कुछ ऑफर मिला था वो तो रिजेक्ट कर दिया. सो देयर इज अ चांस फॉर हिम टू कम टू द प्रीमियर लीग ऑल्सो.
सी
सो आई डोंट नो, मतलब ही ऑल्सो बी एक्सपेंसिव, विदाउट गोज
हम्म
विदाउट सेइंग.
नहीं नॉट जस्ट एक्सपेंसिव सो ओसिमन इज दैट ओल्ड स्कूल बिग पर्सनालिटी स्ट्राइकर वो थोड़ा उस एटीट्यूड के मामले में थोड़ा आई नॉट गो एज फार एज लातान बट उसको मैनेज करना आसान नहीं है और उस तरह की मैनेजर्स अब है नहीं लीग में तो आर्टेटा आई मीन मैनेजिंग अ बैड बॉय वो जोजे का काम था अरे हाँ ना मैं देख लेगा आजा बाला तो कोई बात नहीं। वो तो पेप से नहीं हो पा रहा पेप को भी नहीं चाहिए खराब बच्चा बैक बेंच
कॉन्टे
पे
यार, वो तो कॉन्टे के पास ऑसिमन था, उसने छोड़ कहा
हाँ
भाई ओके बाय
ये भाई
सॉरी.
माफी निकलो यहाँ से तो
हाँ.
managing a character like that, I don't think Arsenal is a club that would be able to manage a character like that. I don't think Liverpool are. और हम तो
हम्म.
5 साल 7 साल 8 साल से नहीं कर रहे हैं सब जब से क्लॉप आया है तो
हम्म.
माइकल एडवर्ड्स जब पहली बार आया था तब से हमने वो खराब वगैरह वगैरह वो सब बंद कर दिया था हमें तो फ्रंट बेंचर्स ही चाहिए जो सबसे आगे बोल बैठ के यस सर नो सर करते हैं उसमें टैलेंट ढूंढ लाती है लिवरपूल बट
हम्म.
सो विक्टर ओसिमन आई डोंट थिंक ही विल कम टू द प्रीमियर लीग वट एवर हैपन और इटली में भी उसके लिए कितने दरवाजे खुले हैं पता नहीं बट I think the only situation in which he can probably even Eddie Howe will not take him, even if Isak leaves, and they have all the money in the world. Newcastle already have all the money in the world.
आई
But
वाज थिंकिंग चेल्सी वाज द क्लब फॉर हिम, बट उन्होंने भी डिलाप को साइन कर लिया है.
हाँ लेकिन Delap और so Delap is potential still and Osimhen is proven. वो तो है वो फर्क तो है. So Delap और Osimhen में काफी फर्क है but Chelsea has been the bad boy club so far. अब Maresca है इटालियन सो इटालियंस हैव दैट नैक थोड़ा सा कि हाँ एक बदतमीज तो होना चाहिए मेरी टीम में तो I but again he's very young we've only seen him for one season so I'm not sure about Maresca and would he want to go for someone like that मैनेजर से बड़ा पर्सनालिटी लाना थोड़ा रिस्की है आजकल प्रीमियर लीग में सो बट यार उसके अलावा कौन है ग्योकरेस इसाक तो कहीं कुछ लिंक ही नहीं है अभी I don't think anything is going to happen to Alexander Isak at least before the Club World Cup. Whatever happens after the Club World Cup, we'll see. I am sure someone would go for Isak. ऐसा तो नहीं होने वाला है कि कोई भी उसके लिए बिड नहीं करेगा या अप्रोच नहीं करेगा न्यूकासल
आई थिंक बिकॉज ही इज वन प्लेयर जिसका क्लियरली उन्होंने सेट किया हुआ है कि हमें तो भाई 100 से ऊपर चाहिए. सो आई थिंक अ लॉट ऑफ क्लब्स अराउंड द कंट्री, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट इंग्लैंड ओनली, अगर यहीं पे सब खरीद रहे हैं, Liverpool have already spent or are planning to spend around 150-200 million on three different players. Wirtz is also going to be very expensive. तो वहां तो आई थिंक इस साल तो प्रोबेबिलिटी जीरो है.
ऐसा नहीं है पूरी तरह तो ओके एक तो हम 2 विंडोज की साइनिंग एक बार में कर रहे हैं 2 साल की साइनिंग एक विंडो में कर रहे हैं कि नए मैनेजर को आप पैसा देंगे दूसरा इफ वी डू एंड अप सेलिंग नूनेज इफ वी जिसके लिए एथलेटिको मैड्रिड हैज कम इन विद 70 million राइट वी हैव
हाँ,
ऑलरेडी
if that happens, yeah,
हाँ वी हैव
yeah.
ऑलरेडी गॉटन 18 million फॉर कैलेहर we will get some money for Harvey Elliott also बहुत सारे clubs उसमें interested हैं especially Germany even English clubs we are also uh, Harvey Elliott ने भी goodbye बोल दिया है Anfield को we are also about to get if Kerekis comes in we are also about to get some money for the Greek fullback
Hmm.
what's his name
Simicast.
Simikas uh, ट्रेंट के भी जाते जाते 1 महीने के 10 मिलियन ले ही लिए इन्होंने। माइकल एडवर्ड्स और ये इतने हरामी है ना यार, मतलब ठीक है 10 मिलियन उसके भी ले लिए। सो ऐसा नहीं है, there's a lot of money coming in also, and towards the end of the window if we do end up signing another stopper, कौन सा भी जाएगा मुझे पता है, न्यूकासल और काफी टीम्स हैं जो गोमेज या कौनसा में से एक जाएगा हमारे यहाँ से, एंड अगेन वी आर लुकिंग एट एन इंग्लिश डिफेंडर जो 40 दे के जाएगा। सो एनीवे 2 विंडोज का बजट था, एंड वी विल एंड अप सेलिंग प्लेयर्स प्लस इन एक्सेस ऑफ 100 million pounds, जिसमें से 18 आ 28 आ चुका है, एंड देर आर 4-5 प्लेयर्स टू गो। सो लिवरपूल हैव द मनी, एंड इफ वी आर ऑल इन, वी आर ऑल इन। प्लस अभी शायद ये भी अप्रोच है कि वर्ड्स के आने के बाद suddenly we would be in a position where any striker in the world would probably want to play in this team. So we'll see. मतलब ये बिल्कुल नहीं बोलूंगा कि लिवरपूल इस साल
आई थिंक स्ट्राइकर के आने का कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, वो तो आना ही चाहेंगे फॉर अ टीम हु हैज जस्ट वन द लीग। आई थिंक न्यूकासल विल बी अ बिग प्रॉब्लम बिकॉज दे देमसेल्व्स आर स्ट्राइविंग फॉर चैंपियंस लीग
yeah,
and they will not go. I think 150 is what they're asking, as much as I've read on the social media platform. So 150 is a lot of money for
that's a
a
lot of,
club who is buying other players also.
yeah, absolutely. मतलब
So
ऐसा
I
तो नहीं होने
think
वाला है कि हम 400 खर्च कर देंगे इस विंडो में, that is not
correct.
yeah,
So I think उसके अलावा चेल्सी है जो बदतमीजी से खरीदती है, बट आई थिंक इसाक चेल्सी नहीं जाएगा।
let's hope so.
हाँ,
Yeah,
आर्सेनल पे मुझे लग रहा है क्योंकि उनका कुछ लग नहीं रहा है। आई थिंक दे विल गेट डेस्परेट इन जुलाई, एंड ऑफ जुलाई, एंड आई थिंक उनको फिर वो फेंक के 150 मिलियन मार के खरीदना पड़ेगा क्योंकि और कुछ चारा बचेगा नहीं।
but if I'm
एंड
Alexander Isak, why would I go to Arsenal? तो मैं न्यूकासल में ही ठीक है ना bro. There's every chance Newcastle might finish higher than Arsenal if they don't end up signing the players that they need. And they need a striker. जूबी मेंडी आने से क्या बदलेगा, वो तो हम डिस्कस कर ही चुके हैं।
हाँ, नहीं करेक्ट जी। एज अ प्लेयर व्हाट आई फील, बिकॉज इन द एज ऑफ सोशल मीडिया ही विल आल्सो थिंक अबाउट हिज इंडिविजुअल प्रोफाइल। न्यूकासल में एक ग्रोथ एक टाइम पे जाके लिमिट हो जाएगी उसकी।
अग्रीड,
आर्सेनल इज अ मोर इंटरनेशनल क्लब।
अग्रीड,
फिर आई थिंक ही विल हैव दैट लालच कि भाई मैं ऐसे क्लब में जाऊं जहां पे मेरा दुनिया में और नाम हो। न्यूकासल में शायद लिमिटेड है अभी, एंड ही विल गेट मोर मनी आल्सो ओवर देयर, and he'll increase his own worth by going to a club like Arsenal. And also they're coming second in the last 3 years, and उसको लगेगा कि I am the player who can turn this around for Arsenal. I'll win them the league because they didn't have a striker. So I think it's totally plausible for him to come, but of course, Newcastle will be not easy to handle for any club that comes in for Isak.
Also, while we are on Newcastle, a quick question. So, Palash, we know Newcastle is a state-backed club. They are probably the richest club in the world if they really go for it, right? Financial fair play and everything keeps them under control, like every other club except for Manchester City. But do you think, अब मतलब नेक्स्ट स्टेज तो ये है ना, चैंपियंस लीग पिछले से पिछले साल भी था। Now, luckily, on the final day, in spite of losing, they qualified for the Champions League because Villa lost simultaneously, which was heartbreaking, by the way. But, अच्छा United से ही था, right? So, do you think? I mean, next stage उनके लिए ये है ना कि अब वो टाइटल के लिए चैलेंज करें, second आए, first आए, third, whatever, but they need to be closer to that. Do you think Eddie Howe is the guy who will take them there, or do they need a manager change for that to happen?
I think Eddie has potential. It's not fair to say right now he can't do it.
ठीक
Everyone
है,
starts
बोर्नमथ में,
somewhere.
मतलब बोर्नमथ में जब वो था तब हमें लगता था he has potential. But now that he has taken a club to the Champions League, is that the end of his potential? Is that potential realized? Or is he a manager who can win the title?
I think he can win the title if he has better players. अभी मुझे see, मेरे दिमाग में भी न्यूकासल का परसेप्शन ये है, उनके पास आधे ज्यादा प्लेयर घोड़े हैं, वो टीम्स को भाग के मार देते हैं।
Yeah. मतलब
आर्सेनल
Murphy,
को भी उन्होंने ऐसे ही हराया है।
yeah. Murphy and so many other players, they could easily be playing for Crystal Palace.
हाँ, वो बुली करके हरा देते हैं।
हाँ,
But I think at the top level to win, to go for the league, win majority of your games out of 38, you need a certain style of play also, for which you'll need better ball players. So I think if he gets that, I think Eddie Howe can do it. I can see the potential. Of course, anything can happen in football. Uh, Look at Leicester, how they came 17th and then won the league. Of course,
वो
that was
okay, that
once in a
happens
blue
once in a
moon.
100 years.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just
वो तो
saying, I
छोड़
mean,
दो,
that
हाँ.
happened in our lifetime, so anything is possible.
Yeah.
So
So
I
many
think
good things
Eddie Howe
happen.
can do it, but not with these bunch of players. I think he needs better players who can control the possession because now football is evolving that way. So right now he can easily go for top four with the team he has, but I think he needs better players to support Isak.
Hmm. All right. So we talked about Arsenal. We've talked about Chelsea in a nutshell. We've talked about Newcastle. We've talked a little about Liverpool. What about Ange leaving Spurs or not leaving rather, getting
Oh,
sacked?
fuck. That was so bad. That
Bad, really? You
I
didn't see
think
that
so.
coming?
I think so. No, it was coming. I told you in our last show that we recorded that Ange is gonna get sacked whether they win or lose. I
Hmm.
knew it was coming, but once they lifted that trophy, I was hoping that he will get the benefit of doubt and he won't get sacked because I don't. I mean, it's not like Tottenham have been winning leagues every 2 3 years or competing at the top level. Yes, they've been good. Pochettino took them to a certain level. Then they dropped back down. Conte, Mourinho failed badly. Then Ange came in. First season was very decent, I think, according to their standards. And second season, this season, of course, was not good. Of course, it was very bad. They even finished below United and lost more than 50% of their games. So, yeah, in terms of league, they're very bad. But lifting a European trophy, come on, it's Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah,
They
that's
haven't
okay.
lifted a trophy like that in major trophy in 70 years.
But bro,
So,
सुन, वो मैच तो किसी भी साइड जा सकता था. वो एक मैच
yeah, yeah.
तो मान लेते हैं. उस मैच से एक दिन पहले तो all Spurs fans were screaming for his life, right? 22 matches when you lose in a 38 game season. That's number one. That's a relegation form. You're just lucky you're not getting relegated. Two, they were asking for his head. ऐसा नहीं है. सो अब या तो 90 मिनट्स के बेसिस पे वो डिसीजन होता कि एक ट्रॉफी जिता दिया, चैंपियंस लीग क्वालिफाई करा दिया, नाउ लेट्स गिव हिम दैट. बट इज वाज देयर एनी एविडेंस दैट if Ange was in charge for the next season, anything would have changed? He would have still played the same way. He would have still gotten thrashed.
Yeah, I mean, see, I sympathize with Ange because,
I
first of
do. I
all,
love him myself. I
yeah,
love the personality.
because there are a few reasons for it. First of all, the type of football he plays, that
Yeah.
high line and high pressing, and we all
Basketball.
like that level of football.
Yeah.
Secondly, this season, I think because of the type of football he plays, he had a lot of injuries because he has a lot of players that cannot match that level of fitness.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think he faced a lot of injuries,
Yeah, he
and
did. वो तो है.
because of which the form dropped down. Of course, not acceptable to finish 17, but I could see why those things were happening with Tottenham and they were not winning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is he still managed to, get to a final. And of course, United are abysmal themselves, so forget about that part. But still managed to win a trophy after everything you've been through in this season. So nothing like that, can break that team spirit. Look at Tottenham players; they're so sad after seeing
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ange go. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yeah.
as a director of a football club or whoever that person is,
Daniel Levy. Yeah.
Daniel Levy, whoever that, what position he holds, I don't know. So
Yeah.
how can you
Chairman.
let something like that go from a football team that is a team game and he has built that team spirit, and who knows what could have happened next year? So the least I'm saying is he deserved a chance. That is what I also thought about Ten Hag also, and of course he is the opposite of this example that it failed totally. And yes, I get that, but that doesn't mean that Ange did not deserve a chance.
Yeah, man. Daniel Levy is the chairman of Tottenham Football Club, and yeah, he definitely. I think Ange did deserve a chance, especially with so many of his key players being out all season. Um, and ऐसा नहीं है उसने लास्ट में चेंज करके भी दिखाया. He won the Europa League by changing his philosophy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
उसने
Uh,
बस पार्क करना भी दिखा दिया मतलब.
but yeah, so do tell us how you feel about that decision. We feel a little sad for Ange, but I do think from a mathematics, I mean, if you're not a romantic at all, and football is so much romanticism, if you're just practical, और अगर आप ऑप्टा फॉलो करते हो और मैच प्रोबेबिलिटी देखते हो और टीम बनाते हो, सट्टा खेलते हो, तो शायद आपको लगेगा कि एंज को सैक कर देना चाहिए था. बट इफ यू हैव एनी लव एंड रोमांटिसिज्म इन योर हार्ट फॉर द गेम, आई एम
Yeah,
श्योर
it's not even about love or romanticism. It's if you just look at logic, yes, probably Ange deserved to go. But if you think about human emotion,
yeah,
football is deeply rooted into fans and human emotion, right? We love our respective clubs because we have a certain emotion towards them.
absolutely,
But if you just talk about sacking Ange on a logical level, then you've taken that emotion out of football. And
absolutely.
anyway, all the top FAs and everyone are doing that. We
बट
don't
डैनियल
need
लीवी
Daniel
हैज
Levy
डन
to
इट
do it.
अगेन एंड अगेन. उसने जोजे को सैक कर दिया था यार, फाइनल से पहले, लीग का फाइनल से 2 दिन
यार
पहले.
जोसे के टाइम पे ड्रेसिंग रूम भी खराब था. जो
वो
जोसे यही
ठीक
तो
है,
करता है.
फाइनल से 2 दिन पहले आप कैसे सैक कर सकते हो किसी को? वहां तो कोई लॉजिक भी इन्वॉल्व
Of
नहीं है.
course, both I anyway don't respect Daniel Levy for a lot of reasons. One being sacking Jose Mourinho.
Pochettino reached the Champions League final and was sacked immediately. I mean, वो कुछ भी करता है डैनियल लीवी.
Ah, of course.
Anyway, just to sort of round up and wrap up on the Tottenham discussion, so you know what we feel. Do tell us your insights and how you feel about Ange being sacked. Meanwhile, Spurs have hired as their head coach Brentford manager, former Brentford manager now, Thomas Frank, who has joined Spurs and taken
Is that
charge.
official?
Yeah, yeah. We
Oh,
had a here we go a couple of hours ago, and
oh, okay.
Thomas Frank has taken up that mantle, that challenge, and more than being a football manager at Spurs, he's taken up that challenge to work with Daniel Levy. I don't know how that's going to work out. Again, Thomas Frank is a guy I really respect and admire, and I feel really sad and scared that he has taken up this job. Also,
Yeah.
Spurs immediately have taken a big interest in Anthony Semenyo from Bournemouth. They have stepped up their interest, and again, there is hope that that deal might be really close as we record this podcast. Again, quick reminder, we are just about 70 minutes away from the close of the summer transfer window part one, and then the summer transfer window will open again after the Club World Cup. All right, this brings us to the final segment of today's podcast, and we have saved the best for the last. हाँ जी पलाश, थोड़ा टी शर्ट ऐसे करो यार ब्रो, यूनाइटेड का लोगो नहीं दिख रहा है.
हाँ
This
बिल्कुल.
brings us to Manchester United and the theater of
Rebuilds.
unfulfilled dreams, if I may.
I call it theater of rebuilds.
uh, if you're wondering why am I laughing so much, I'm a Liverpool fan, and we are now the most successful club in English football.
On what grounds? We are sharing the
अच्छा,
points right now.
शेयरिंग 20 titles each, 6 चैंपियंस लीग ब्रो, क्या बात कर रहे हो तुम
ब्रो यार
यार.
डोमेस्टिक की बात हो रही है ना. इन
बहुत
इंग्लैंड
कुछ.
तुम
लाइन
इंग्लैंड बोल रहे
में लाइन में पीछे जाके खड़े हो जाना
नहीं,
बिल्कुल.
नहीं.
Anyway,
अभी
we
एकदम
won't
शेयर हो
start.
रहा है यहाँ पे. बिल्कुल बदतमीजी नहीं चाहिए.
We won't start that discussion. In fact, विशाल ने कॉल किया मुझे यूएस से यार. मेरे को लगा इतना टाइम हो गया, हमारी कम से कम 6-8 महीने से बात नहीं हुई थी. तो कॉल आया उसका, 2-3 बार हमारी बात नहीं हो पाई, फिर फाइनली एक दिन हमारी बात हुई. वो भी 10 मिनट ही हो पाई. देन ही गॉट बिजी एंड ही हैड टू सॉर्ट ऑफ टेक केयर ऑफ समथिंग एल्स. तो उसने मुझसे 2 मिनट हाय भैया, हेलो भैया, कैसे हो आप, ये वो बात किया. उसके बाद बोलता है यूनाइटेड का मैं आपको बताता हूँ. फिर सारा यूनाइटेड की बात हो रही थी. मैंने कहा अरे यार ब्रो, ठीक है मतलब, आई गेट इट. So I saw this meme and I shared this on ORB also, our page. If I had a genie and 1,000, actually unlimited wishes, not just 3,
Yeah, I saw it.
तो भी मैं यूनाइटेड के साथ ये नहीं कर पाता जो यूनाइटेड के साथ हो चुका. तो बाकी सक्सेसफुल क्लब और ये सब बातें तो छोड़ ही देते हैं फिलहाल. वो तो समाज देख रहा है, समाज अपने आप न्याय करेगा. बट हाँ, maybe we'll start this poll at some point before the season begins. But for now, so first question, should Amorim have left after last season? देखो, टॉटनहम की हमने बात किया. टॉटनहम finished 17th, यूनाइटेड finished 16th, second from bottom practically. Terrible season by all counts. Yeah. What does that say about Amorim? And should he have just resigned on moral grounds कि ब्रो मुझसे नहीं हो पा रहा है?
No, I don't think so. I think Amram shouldn't have resigned, to answer your question. Why? I'm sure he knew what he was coming into. He's seen United has been shit for the last 12 years, and the
United have
kind of
never
play.
finished 16th, right?
Yeah, yeah. He didn't think that they were going to finish 16th, right? It happened, and of course, what people forget is when he got the team, we were already 14th. He didn't take us from ground zero to 16th. We were already 14th, right? And then a lot of factors come into play. He didn't have a preseason. A lot of things. Totally, United has gone against their philosophy. We have always played four at the back. You've brought in a manager who idolizes three at the back,
Yeah.
right? So, and he will not budge from his system. I'm sure United knew before hiring him. If they didn't, they are stupid, not Amorim. If
United
they
are
thought that,
stupid. We have seen that over the last 10 years. Manager
yeah,
after
yeah,
manager.
yeah. I was just trying to be polite, but yeah, they're stupid. So we all knew, everyone knew that Amorim is not going to change his philosophy, right? United's board will have to adjust to him, bring in players that he wants, and then restructure everything, which of course will not happen over 1 year or even 2 years, right?
Mhm.
So this year was anyway gone the moment they sacked Ten Hag.
Okay.
They took this season for granted once they sacked Ten Hag. Of course, he deserved it on some level. Nobody is refuting that. But I think if you had kept even Van Nistelrooy for that matter, he would have, he knows the club, he knows that system four at the back, and he could have made it better on some level, and we wouldn't have been 16th, right? And Amorim has been fair from the very start, and he has said that we'll suffer. And he's been true to his word. So I think if anything, if anyone deserves the boot, it's the players and probably some people at the hierarchy for different reasons, but not Amorim.
Hmm. ठीक है. Okay, that answers first part of it. काफी acceptance दिख रहा है मुझे. काफी grounded approach है United को लेकर. Beggars are not choosers after all. And okay, so United have in this transformational phase now. You talk about again blueprint वही है जो repeat हो रहा है पिछले 10 साल से. नया मैनेजर आया है, हमें उसको टाइम देना पड़ेगा, पहले इसको प्लेयर्स लाने पड़ेंगे वगैरह वगैरह. Cunha is the first signing that he has made this window. He's arrived. Mbuemo is very strongly linked. We'll keep a close eye on that over the next few weeks. It might happen in the next 1 hour also. We are 60 minutes away from the deadline, as we keep reminding you. The summer transfer window, phase one, closes tonight within the next 59 minutes. So Mbuemo is probably on his way. What is United's target for next season? I mean, what will be a acceptable finish now? 16 तो नहीं हो सकता. So क्या target है? Champions League title.
The target, of course, will be Champions League, but I think that's unrealistic. Even though if we keep that as a target, we're not getting there unless we have some extravagant spending spree in the next 1 month or so, and we bring in elite level of players, which is not happening. I know. I'm just saying on a very oblivious level. So that is not happening. So I think the realistic target would be to be in the top eight, play in Europe. That should be the ideal
Wow,
way to go about it, and ideal and realistic, of course. Uh, that being said, I wouldn't, you know, say that we are not going to make top four at all because, for one, we only have the league next season.
okay.
So I think he will have enough time because he'll have the preseason also, and hoping that United get all their recruitments done before the preseason starts. So he'll have the preseason and he'll have enough time during the week also to train and improve his methodology over and over. No midweek matches, so I think uh, he'll be better placed to train his players on his methodology, right? And better prepare for
That's
games.
the hope anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I wouldn't rule out top four. It can be done, but I think that's a very bleak chance of it. But I think getting into Europe would be the realistic ambition for next year.
Wow, man. For our viewers who are watching, I've had at least three major accidents in my life where I could have easily died. But sometimes I survived without a scratch. Sometimes I just survived. कई बार मैंने अपने आप से सवाल पूछा है कि मैं जिंदा क्यों बच गया मैं ये देखने के लिए जिंदा बच गया था जब यूनाइटेड फैंस even when they are really hoping to hope, they're like, हाँ मतलब हम यूरोपा भी क्वालिफाई कर जाए तो ठीक है. ऐसा मेरा बचपन और जवानी धुला है यूनाइटेड का सक्सेस देखते देखते. Such a traumatizing football journey ever since I was a child, in my teens, when I got into college, and watching all of this for the last 12 years. And like I said, मेरे पास एक जीनी भी होता तो भी मैं ये सब नहीं predict कर, ये सब नहीं achieve कर पाता. But to hear this from a United fan,
आयरनी इज कि तुम्हारे ये सपने भी यूनाइटेड की वजह से ही बने थे, बिकॉज यूनाइटेड किक्ड ऑफ लिवरपूल ऑफ देयर पर्च इन सच अ वे, तभी ये सपने बने हैं ना. सो लाइफ कम्स फुल सर्कल, वो तो ठीक है.
yeah,
तो सबका मौका आता है, बिल्कुल सही है. इट्स योर मोमेंट.
it's my decade. It's not a moment. It's not a moment. It's
डेकेड
been
तो
a
ज्यादा
decade.
हो गया, चलो ठीक है, कोई नहीं.
Decade हो गया है. जब से क्लॉप आया, यूनाइटेड इज नॉट फिनिश्ड अबव लिवरपूल. दैट्स नॉट हैपेंड एक्सेप्ट फॉर दिस फर्स्ट सीजन.
यू
अच्छा,
हैव यू लॉस्ट?
ओले वाला सीजन बस. जब से क्लॉप आया, तो क्लॉप केम लेटर,
Mourinho
मोरिनियो के
also
बाद आया.
finished second.
क्लॉप
Mourinho
केम
also finished
आफ्टर,
second.
अरे क्लॉप केम आफ्टर मोरिनियो ना बाबा.
अच्छा, चलो
हाँ,
एनीवे ठीक है, ये तो
या
अलग बात
सो, और अभी तो क्लॉप को भी एक साल हो गया. अब तो मतलब उस साल तो हम टाइटल जीत गए. सो इट्स बीन अ डेकेड मोर और लेस. ठीक है, वी कुड बी रॉन्ग अबाउट अ कपल
है.
ऑफ सीजंस हियर एंड
अरे टेन हाग ने भी तो थर्ड फिनिश कराया था, लिवरपूल कहाँ थी तब?
फोर्थ. हाँ, एक सीजन हम फोर्थ आए थे, राइट. या बट हाँ, मोर और लेस इट्स बीन माय डेकेड, सो 90% ऑफ इट इज माइन. बिग डील. एंड
Whatever.
या एटलीस्ट मुझे यूनाइटेड को जीतते हुए तो नहीं देखना पड़ा है. बट टू हैव गॉन फ्रॉम दैट पर्च, यूजिंग योर वर्ड नाउ, टू दिस पर्च, जहाँ पे हमारे क्रिस्टल पैलेस वाले टारगेट्स हैं. लेट्स गेट इनटू यूरोप. By the way, quick call out to Crystal Palace. Because of multiple ownership rules, there is every chance that Palace might not be a part of the Europa League and that seat might go to Nottingham Forest. But I think that's terribly, terribly unfair. Red Bull से तो कोई ये सवाल नहीं पूछता. एतिहाद से ये सवाल कोई नहीं पूछता. Again, this is just like those 115 charges against Man City and nothing happening about it. If this happens, it would be the greatest shame in football if Steve Parish's Crystal Palace does not get to play Europa League this season. I think I will definitely come up with a few rants in that if that happens. But hopefully, abhi wo verdict aana baki hai, so hopefully that will not happen. And Crystal Palace, deservedly so, will play in the Europa League. Uh, but yeah, coming back to United, so like Balash said, from a very informed United fans perspective, the target is to get into Europe, not necessarily the Champions League. While that is an ambitious target, title की तो बात ही नहीं कर रहे United fans. मतलब it's that. And of course, there's a dearth of talent. When I say dearth of talent, what I mean is the best players are not choosing United right now, which was not always the case, especially for our young viewers. United used to be the go-to place for players coming in. Any talent, any big player coming into the Premier League, United was the first preference. चाहे Zlatan हो, चाहे Berbatov हो, चाहे Cristiano Ronaldo हो, चाहे Everton का 16 साल का Rooney हो, कोई भी हो, United was the place to go. And suddenly we are living in a very different world where Florian Wirtz is probably going to end up at Liverpool. The best players end up at City or Liverpool or even Arsenal at this point. And United are way down the ladder. Although I do have this confession to make, I do think the best players end up at Brighton more often than not. But yeah, that's all credit to them. We keep mentioning Brighton again and again because of their wonderful, wonderful signing policy. Uh, all right, that sort of brings us to the end of our podcast today. Quick shout out to Italy. Luciano Spalletti has been sacked. Italy have not qualified for the last two World Cups. They are running the risk of not qualifying for a third World Cup in a row. And as some of you who've been following us for a very long time know, I'm a big, big, big Italy fan. It just breaks my fucking heart. And yeah, they try to, I mean, because Roma, Claudio Ranieri had just left Roma, and there was all of this hope that the Italian Federation had put on this miracle man, which Claudio Ranieri is. They wanted to sign him for the national team and to replace Luciano Spalletti. Claudio Ranieri has rejected that proposal. He will not be managing Italy.
I'm
And
just
now
trying to I'm just trying to imagine what kind of shit Italian Federation is in,
I
that
have no idea.
Ranieri has declined them.
Yeah. Ranieri, the miracle man. And I mean, if you think about it, so what he said was अगर मेरे को मैनेज ही करना होता आगे तो मैं रोमा में ही रहता ना, मैं क्यों छोड़ता? मेरे को नहीं करना है, मैं उनकी मदद करने गया था, वहां मेरा दिल जुड़ा हुआ है. But he would not do the same thing for Italy for whatever reason, right? So it is heartbreaking. I was very hopeful that Ranieri would join, but I understand things from his perspective. We're talking about a 75-year-old guy. And what breaks my heart right now is Italy don't even have a candidate. अच्छा बुरा तो बहुत दूर की बात है. They don't even have a candidate. And World Cup qualifiers will keep coming.
I think next candidate I read online was Pioli is their next candidate, the AC Milan man, I think.
There is so much wrong with the Italian national team. Nobody knows what the best squad is. Nobody knows what the right players are. Nobody knows who the manager will be. Um, some of the best players have fallen off completely, and they're already 9 points behind Norway in that group. It's and the way they got thrashed by Norway the other day. Yes, they won against Moldova yesterday. वहां भी मोल्डोवा ने पहला गोल मार दिया था, वो तो ऑफसाइड हो गया. Otherwise, it could have been a very different game. But losing to Norway in the manner that they did, completely outplayed. It was just heartbreaking. So, hoping for the best from an Italian perspective. I really do hope they come to the World Cup next year in USA, Mexico, and Canada. And because we are also planning that trip, a World Cup without Italy would just make no sense to me at all. I would not have a team to support. Then it's just a vacation. So I really hope Italy qualifies. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Any closing remarks, Palash?
No, I think just hoping, like you're hoping for Italy, I'm hoping for United. Uh, I hope they can rebuild the theater of rebuilds again.
Yeah, lost causes में hope ही चलता है बस.
Yeah, but I think they still have the pull. I mean, I was surprised that even Cunha and Mbeumo want to come to United. So, and they're good players. I mean, I really like them.
Yeah, but Cunha again is a bad boy. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I think I personally I need a bad boy in United. There are no bad boys in United. They
तो
need
भाई
that character.
ग्योकरेस को छोड़ो ना, फिर 200 दे दो ना उसको, ओसिमन को.
यार मतलब ऐसा कैरेक्टर जो थोड़ा डेवलपमेंट एज में भी हो ना. क्यूनिया इज ओनली 25. He can still be controlled. Osimhen is 29. I think he has a different level of ego.
बट वो
And that
चैंपियंस
too,
लीग क्वालिफाई करा देगा.
और उसको देख के भी लगता है कि उसके पीछे तो माफिया का हाथ है जिस हिसाब से वो हरकतें
यार
करता है.
लेकिन मैं ना थोड़ा मिस भी करता हूँ बैड बॉयज. तो जोजे
हाँ वही
जोजे
तो.
का कॉस्टा फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ठीक है,
हाँ
मतलब,
करेक्ट.
या लिवरपूल में सुआरेज आ गया था तब. तो थोड़ा बैड बॉयज होना चाहिए, आई गेस. ज़्लातान इन
That's
यूनाइटेड.
why that's why I'm happy for Cunha that he's coming, and he has the numbers also to prove it. He has goals and assists and everything. So and he's a good player overall. So I think I was surprised that United closed that deal so quickly, and for Mbeumo also. I mean, I really like Mbeumo, and I
आई
really
डू
thought
टू.
either he'll go to Arsenal or Newcastle. Both
या
were in for him, but he chose United. So I think still United maybe last 1 or 2 years of that pull is still left. If they don't get this right very soon, I think that pull is also gonna go away. So yeah, and I think it's a successful transfer window for them if they sign these two players, maybe get a good striker, and more than a striker, I think get a good midfielder. Our midfield is really bad, really slow and bad, and that is the signing I'm looking for. He's bought two number 10s in Mbuemo and Cunha. I am looking to the midfielder signing. If a good midfielder comes in, I think then I can seriously say yes, we're going for Europe and everything. Right now, everything is hanging by a thread. So let's see. Let's see what happens.
All right, those are our closing remarks. 45 minutes to go to the end of the first summer transfer window. United still have a pull, like Balazs said. Liverpool have signed Frimpong. We are very close to Kerekes and Wirtz. City have done Reinders and Atnuri, and there's one more player, right?
Turkey.
Turkey, and nobody is coming to us. Thanks for watching. Do share your comments and tell us what you liked or didn't like about your club during our discussion.